Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Meta Cafe. Grab your cup of coffee or your tea, sit back, relax, and let's chat about what is coming up for the weekend. Yay! It's Friday, and we are looking at the weekend and what is going to be happening. I got quite a bit written on my little sheet here as I was planning out what would we be talking about this weekend. What would we be talking about today that's coming up for the weekend? So we have a bit of a mixed bag for the weekend, not necessarily bad. In fact, I have a feeling that some people may experience some really wonderful things from the weekend, perhaps inspiration striking in place at a time or in a way or in a place that you didn't expect. And I think there's some other powerful undercurrents, whoosh, 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 right underneath the surface that may pop up for us to have to deal with. And I would much prefer, personally, I don't know if you guys are with me on this, but I would much prefer those undercurrents to pop up and let me glimpse them so that I can work with what is going on beneath the surface before it is completely sabotaging me in whatever endeavor I am undertaking. So even though sometimes that isn't comfortable, it may be the best thing for you ever as you get to be able to see what is happening underneath the surface before it comes up. And let's see what else. Just a quick look over the weekend. There's also some, maybe a couple of, I want to say minor irritations. However, I'm not so sure they'll be minor. I guess it depends on what you've been working on this week and how you view challenges when they show up in your world. So, good morning, Michelle. She says hi for a bit. Must mean because you have to take Joss to school. Let's see, Rebecca, good morning to you. And Vicky, good morning to you. And Michelle or Mimi, excuse me, good morning to you as well. Vicky says, I'm on time for a change. Well, we're glad to see you out there. Whether you're on time or you're late, it doesn't matter because you can always go back to the beginning of the video. After the broadcast is done, it is archived right there on my Living Astrology Facebook page. Same thing if you missed the Ascension and Astrology show last evening with me and Cornelia Stephanie. It is also archived right here on the Living Astrology page. And after this morning's broadcast, I will get it up into YouTube and put on the YouTube channel. So lots of ways that we can connect. Good morning, Lynn. Good morning. Good morning. It doesn't matter whether you're late because I've just been chattering, trying to give people time to wake up and get here for the broadcast this morning. So I haven't really dove into much. Good morning, Jacqueline. See, everybody checks in. I love that. So I hope everybody is doing well. This has been a bit of a crazy week in terms of the different things that were going on with Mercury. And, I in my blog post this week, I sort of highlighted in red when there was going to be something of importance. And today, because I printed off what I wrote for the weekend, we have a Saturday red and we have two reds for today. So red not necessarily meaning bad, just meaning hot, hot, hot. Pay attention to me. And we'll talk about those things here in just a moment. Good morning, Tina. Tina says, good morning. Question to the group. I have a spirit living in my house. Has anyone told a guest to go away? He's the former owner who may have died in the home. He's been here all along, but I didn't connect the dots. Wow. So if any of you out there are house cleaners, if you will, or know how to help spirits cross over, it sounds like you might need to connect with Tina. Tina, all I can say, and all I've ever heard, is that if you ask them to leave, they must leave. But first you might ask him why he's hanging around there, or if there's something, that you can help him do. And then after that, just ask him to cross over. But I'm not the wise one on this one, right? So hopefully somebody out there will respond to you and find an answer for you. Okay. Thanks. I will ask. There you go. Yeah, because spirits, I mean, we are the ones that are here in the physical dimension, and anything crossing over through the astral plane or from the spirit realm doesn't necessarily belong here in that spirit realm. I mean, he may be somebody that's delivering a message for you. He's a lost soul. I don't know the details of how all of that works, but I do know that they cannot occupy your space if you do not want them there. So you can allow them to just pass over and out of your realm. Vicky says, Tina, kindly ask him to leave, then do a saging. Sage, great one. That's a great idea. I always forget about that. But periodically in my life, when I have been moving or when I feel, some negative energy building up in my house, and especially in the winter where I can't just like open the windows and let the wind blow through and, change that energy, sage is great, right? Being able to sage and, clean up some of that old energy that's there. And, it creates a blessing, not only for you, but for those spirits that are, in the way or stuck perhaps. Anyway, good morning, Tom. Wow. You're up early. Good for you. So let's dive in. Natasha also says that she can help Tina. So Natasha Venter. So hopefully, you two can connect through the chat and talk about what's going on there as well. All right, guys, let's dive into the weekend. Beginning today, the moon is in Libra. Actually, it began yesterday, but the moon is in Libra. We are dealing with relationships. We are dealing with trying to balance, harmonize, and come into some form of diplomatic solution to problems. Maybe you're working with someone that you've had a conflict with, and you are trying to find the most beautiful way forward that supports you and the other person. This moon is about creating win-win, right? Win-win, not win-lose or lose-lose or lose-win. It is about, can we create a path forward with win-win solutions? It is absolutely beautiful. Now, does that mean that today is an easy day? Well, yes and maybe no. It depends, right? What are you engaged in? Have you already, and I last night I was talking about this on the Ascension and Astrology show. This week has been one trigger after another for me personally. And I think for other people as well, because I know this because people were saying this to us last night, that, it seems like things are coming up like those little, do you ever feel like a pin cushion? Like a pin just comes and pokes you. And it triggers a reaction in you, or it triggers an emotional response in you. And this week has been like that many different times over in many different ways, a la Mercury. Mercury is the planet that represents our mind, and it represents the communication that we have between the mind and the heart, between communication between us as individuals. And what I've really noticed is if I trace back what has triggered me, it all goes back to a thought that I had that I wasn't good enough, a thought that I had that things should be different, a thought that I had negative about someone else even. And then that triggers all of my nice girl energies. And then I'm like beating myself up because I wasn't nice, or, I had bad thoughts about someone. It's been an absolute mind bleep, if you can fill in the blank there, for me this week. So I'm guessing that for a lot of people, you have been noticing what your mind has been chattering to you about. So today we end up with a red letter day because Mercury is squaring, i.e., challenging the planet Jupiter. Now, Jupiter is about growth and expansion, and Mercury is really about the mind and communication. He's in the shadow of his next retrograde period. So in a way, there's the sense that we might be exaggerating or overblowing something. I realized yesterday afternoon when I was packing up my stuff after the Ascension and Astrology show that one of the biggest triggers that I've had this week is really been blown out of proportion by guess who? Me, right? I've blown things out of proportion. What's that other saying that we say? Making a mountain out of a molehill. And allowing then the mind that creates that association that there's something not right here, there's something rotten in Denmark, and takes that and expands it and grows it. That is Mercury square Jupiter, blowing things out of proportion. So the best response from us as individuals is to check your thinking, right? Check your thinking. Are you creating your own blocks? Are you creating your own challenges because of what your thought processes are putting you into, right? By your thinking. One of my teachers, Karen Curry Parker, had called these kinds of things stinkin' thinkin'. And it's kind of a cutesy little way of saying, where is your mind and what is it focused in or on? There's also a sense here, Mercury squaring Jupiter. Remember, Jupiter likes the bigger picture, and Mercury is wanting to see the whole path forward. And Mercury's in Pisces right now. And Pisces energy is sort of akin to that, getting the bigger picture. It's not really good on the details. So, right here, there are details. Maybe you're missing something vital. And maybe what's slowing your roll is that you need to look for the details. What have you forgotten? What have you left out? What doesn't make sense? What is not going to be workable or doable? Remember that Wednesday, the North Node shifted from the gate it was in into the gate 62, which takes us to the details, right? Looking deeper and making sure that everything is aligned in your bigger picture, right? So we have to see both, right? Big picture and the little picture. So we have a lot of interesting things going on around this Mercury squaring Jupiter, particularly like if you are in the middle of a project and you're running into resistance about getting it done, or you are, maybe there's a literal physical block to it, a fear or something like that gets triggered. Then the best thing for you to do is to stop for the short term, take a look at what all of the pieces are, where's the fear, and trace it backwards. Is it just from up here? If it is, then push through and do it anyway, right? We don't want it in the fear category. Maybe because Mercury is slowing down for its retrograde, that it's about looking at the details that you might have missed. And it's not so much that there's a block or resistance, it's that you might have missed something. And this gives you the opportunity when you slow down to look back and pick up what you might have missed, right? Something that would make your project just perfect. And if you hadn't slowed down, you might have missed what was going on there. Let's take a quick look at what people are saying here. Tina, got it. I should just eat sage at this point. Oh my gosh, that's too funny. Jacqueline, everybody's saying sage. Jacqueline says burn white sage. The meaning of the spirit or ghost does not know they're dead. If he's the former owner hanging around, he might have unfinished business. True, true, true. Tom says rattle, clap hands, or some noisemaker. In a strong voice, command them to go to the light, that they're not welcome in your space. So lots of great advice here going on this morning. Good morning, Jennifer. It's great to see you. And Tina, after you evict it, there are some crystals to get that help too. Look them up. I can't remember which ones. Black obsidian is good though. Black tourmaline is also good. It repels negative energy. Onyx would also do the same. Tina, our own worst enemy sometimes in life. Yes, Vicky, that is exactly what I'm telling people. I know this to be true because I can sometimes be the mistress of self-sabotage. And at this point, that seems to be some of the energy that we're experiencing here, maybe where we are putting up blocks to our own path forward for whatever reason that may be, right? Maybe you're scared about how something might turn out. Maybe you're afraid it will fail. Maybe you're afraid it will succeed. Any number of reasons. Rebecca says, you mentioned Mercury was the lower mind. Would you say then that the lower mind is squaring the higher mind, Jupiter? I would say that the lower mind is squaring the optimism and the growth and evolution of Jupiter. The higher mind is really represented more by Uranus. Although Jupiter does rule that 9th house of the higher mind in the natural zodiac, so it's a potential for that. What it really comes down to, Rebecca, is how is your own personal chart put together? What's in that 9th house? Is Mercury actually in a position to square something in your 9th house? So there's a lot more pieces to it, and these are all these generalizations that we can make. So hopefully we can at some point look at some people's charts and, kind of decode what's going on as these things show up. Debbie says, good morning. Happy Mardi Gras. Wait a minute. That can't be. Today's Friday. Isn't Mardi Gras Fat Tuesday? Or is it like a week-long event? I don't know. I don't ever celebrate that. The West Coast just doesn't seem to care about Mardi Gras, but I know Debbie down in the South, they really do celebrate this, but I thought it meant Fat Tuesday. Debbie, explain, please. And isn't Mardi Gras or Tuesday, Fat Tuesday, the Tuesday before Ash Wednesday? Maybe I have this all wrong. Wow. And Ash Wednesday is March 6th. So I don't know. Debbie, explain. I love it. So what else is going on today? There is also a Venus conjunct Pluto. In the beginning this morning, I said that the moon was squaring Saturn, Venus, and Pluto, all three of whom are in the sign of Capricorn. The moon in Libra squares Capricorn, challenges Capricorn. In the natural zodiac, these are all the angles, right? The moon, the midheaven and the IC and the ascendant and the descendant are all called angles. They're very sensitive points in your chart. And the signs that rule them naturally are Aries, Cancer, Capricorn, and Libra and Capricorn. And so when we have this energy squaring, we have a lot of sensitive energy out there. So the moon in Libra, trying to balance and harmonize and keep the peace, is having difficulty today because of the square to the 3 in Capricorn. And that might mean that you actually look at what's going on here in the U.S. anyway, in the U.S. Congress, right? We've got the House doing one thing, the Senate doing another thing, the executive branch trying to do another thing. So we see that the three of these things need these three entities needing to harmonize, but these squares to who's in authority and who's got the power are all creating the chaos, right? So today is a really indelicate day. Indelicate, not because it's, there's some kind of sexual orientation here, but because it is not an easy kind of day to work with. And when you look deeper, what you see is underneath this, Venus, who's involved in that square with the moon, is also conjunct Pluto. So here we have to use the power of attraction wisely, right? Venus, she is an attractive force, and she can attract to her whatever it is that's being focused upon. And in Capricorn, she's very business oriented, right? She's no nonsense. And so she may be focused on the nuts and bolts of a foundation, or the nuts and bolts of a program, the nuts and bolts of your relationships, right? So if we are using the power of attraction unwisely, we could be attracting to us more issues within our relationships or issues within our businesses. So here is the caution: to keep your thoughts, your mind, your power energy, your energy centers clear, right? Could it be that we create relationship dramas with this setup? Could it be that we create power struggles with the people in our world, right? People at work, or people in your life, your husband, your wife, your boyfriend, your girlfriend, your kids, your mom, your dad. Lots of opportunities here for us to take this energy and use it wrong. Why? Because it creates undercurrents. And in the beginning of the show this morning, when I was just sort of chit-chatting, I was talking about undercurrents, and how when there's this undercurrent, periodically we have a little opening and something can pop up through. If there's this little hole, right, and it can pop up. The pin cushion, right? You can take the pin and be popped. And that undercurrent has holes in it when Venus and Pluto come together like this. And so what we can see is something that bubbles up when you don't expect it, right? Something that you've been holding on to, an anger, a grievance, an emotion, anger, and it can erupt, and it can come up, and it can create bigger drama than what is necessary. So I guess the best path forward for the weekend here, because this is today and it does sort of bleed over a bit into the weekend itself, is be very willing to watch and guard what you say and what you do, right? Make sure that you're not in reactionary mode, reacting to a perceived power struggle, or a perceived momentary blip that came up from the undercurrent. Instead, So you're watching your thoughts, right? You're avoiding reaction, but you can also do the processing of all of this for yourself, right? You can look at that little thing that wants to pop up from the undercurrent. And what does it mean for you? Right? Because we're able to sort of see the jewels perhaps in the dark that have been keeping us from having wonderful relationships, from having money, from feeling valued or worthy, because Venus rules all of those things: money, values, our worthiness. And Pluto, of course, the Lord of the underworld, taking us into that dark place. And if we can do that on our own without projecting it outward and seeing it in the outer world on other people and then interacting with it out there, then we can find a pathway to peace with this and still come out with some of those jewels. I hope that makes sense to everybody. Okay, let's see what Debbie's saying here about Mardi Gras. No. Okay, back. Mardi Gras begins today for us. The end of Mardi Gras is Fat Tuesday. Got you. So it's a process over the course of time. Gotcha. So it's a long party. I would say that's your kind of party, isn't it, Debbie? Let's see. Patricia, good morning to you. Rebecca says, oh, okay, thanks. Understand so many pieces to this puzzle. Absolutely, Rebecca. And it only gets trickier when you apply the things that I'm talking about in general to your personal chart. And because I don't have the advantage of looking at everyone's personal chart, at least not here in the morning, I have to just do my best to show you what the general trends are. And then hopefully at some point you can know your own chart well enough to see how that will affect you. And let's see what else people are saying. Good morning, April. Good morning, Linda. And great. So lots of great conversation going on out here. I'm just making sure I didn't miss anything. There we go. So now let's take a look at Saturday. Saturday. The moon begins the day in void, of course, 7:10 a.m. to 7:56 a.m. here for me on the West Coast. That'll be 10:10 a.m. to 10:56 a.m. for you all on the East Coast. And that'll be the time while the moon hangs in the balance between Libra and Scorpio energy. Then I want to say all hell breaks loose. It's not really that bad or that dramatic. But at that point, the moon, as she begins to move into Scorpio, is opposing, or before actually, is opposing Eris, Uranus, and Mars. So it'll be, between Friday evening and Saturday, there's this kind of frisson of irritation being triggered by these oppositions that the moon is making. And then she moves into Scorpio, and Scorpio likes to intensify and likes to go deeper. So it may be something that triggers you this evening, sometime later today, but tomorrow is the deep dive day, right? And you take it in, and now you have to understand why maybe you're being, pulled in two different directions. Eris is in the grand scheme of things, she is sort of the bitch of the bunch. I mean, she tends to do things just to create problems, to stir the pot, if you will. Her main thing is discord, because she upsets the status quo. She in mythology is really quite deliberate, and this is about vengeance and revenge. In the myths anyway. And yet what she does is create discord and allows the shadows that everybody holds in check most times to come up to the surface and be viewed by all. So it's an interesting sort of setup, because she's there, then Uranus is there, and then Mars. So they're all within about 10 degrees of one another, albeit Mars in Taurus instead of Aries. So we could be triggered by many different things. And that is one of the, there's something beautiful about this, though. Even though it doesn't always feel good to be triggered or to have this, stuff come up, it does allow us to clear the air, right? To clear our minds, to clear our hearts, to clear our souls, to see in deeper. So while it's not always pleasant, it can be very cathartic. And so there's an issue of catharsis this weekend, right? Where you can allow some things to come up. And as long as you take care not to project your anger, your irritation, or your frustration outward onto the people you love, then everything should be fine, right? You shouldn't have any real big issues. But remember, other people are also not listening to this broadcast. They are not even understanding astrology. Maybe they even poo-poo astrology. And so they may be projecting stuff outward onto you. So if that's the case and you're the recipient of this energy, what do? Well, you just let it roll off your shoulders, right? You allow it to go through you and out the other side. You do not absorb it like a sponge. Do not take it in. It isn't even your energy. And that person who's doing the projection may not even really understand what it is that they're reacting to. You just happen to be the closest person to project it upon so that they can see it more clearly. If you are brave, you might be able to say to the person, I invite you to take a look at this and see what it means for you, because this is certainly not coming from me. And if you're brave and you have a good relationship with that person, they may be able to take what you say and move through some very powerful shifts on their own. Or maybe they will invite you to help them work through whatever it is that's bothering them. But they also may be reacting to that. So, like I say, courage to be able to speak, but also to back off if necessary and realize this person has to deal with their own stuff. Or if it's you, you must deal with your own stuff. Now, Mercury, the little trickster, the ruler of the mind and everything we say, is also sextiling Pluto on a Saturday. A sextile is a 60-degree angle between the planets, and it is an ease and flow of this energy. It's not like the trine where it can become lazy. This is really about using your gifts and your talents appropriately and in the face of whatever situation it is that pops up. I think in my blog this week, I called it like tuning into the force. Right? Mercury sextiling Pluto allows you to tune in to something deeper, to hear the song of the cosmos, and not just so. Even when dealing with your fellow human beings, you can even use this energy to tune into what they may really be saying and not what they think or what you think you're hearing them say. Does that make sense to people? Right? It's tuning into the deeper undercurrent of what it is that's going on with that person or even with yourself, but without having to throw it back in someone's face or to even react to it. I was reading an article this morning. I want to say it was in Earth Sky News about increased cosmic radiation coming into the planet. I don't know if you guys check space weather, but I do periodically, and I've noticed the sun is very quiet. We're in the solar minimum, which means we have very few sunspots. It is sunspot activity and the consequent magnetism that gets, shoved off the sun, and that protects the Earth in some ways from the penetration of our atmosphere by cosmic rays, gamma rays, etc. And some of these rays and these waves that come in are very psychoactive, if I can say that, because they really hold the energy of change and evolution and revolution within them. And when we have increased cosmic energy coming into the planet, we have the increased incidence of things that are designed to cause evolution, right? Things that are designed to cause us to grow, expand, and evolve. So I call this transit of Mercury and Pluto evolution ability. We have increased evolution ability in this one little transit. And a few weeks back, we were talking about I can't remember if it was the sun or the earth that was at gate 19. Gate 19 in your human design is a gate of sensitivity. And the sensitivity here in that particular gate allows us to see or sense the morphogenetic fields. And the morphogenetic fields are the place where information resides. Some of you might know it as the cosmic or the Akashic records, perhaps. the black hole at the center of the universe, i.e., the galactic center. Who knows what we really call it, but it is the stream of consciousness that people sometimes tap into unknowingly, and they bring in the next best product, the next best, fad. We've all seen this happen, right? Where some brilliant person brings in some invention or something new, and it catches on and it runs like fire through the collective. And whether it's a thought, whether it's a product, whether it's a new way of being, it's there for us this weekend in a way that it isn't always available. And it's kind of relatively there for everybody, right? We can all tap into this. So watch your dreams, watch what's moving through the deeper parts of yourself. Um, Keep a dream journal. I know we were talking about dreams, I think, earlier in the week, but also yesterday. People were sharing some of the dreams that they've had, and the symbolism in the dreams that these people are having are they're amazing symbolism going on in our dreams. Now, the symbols are possibly unique to each of you. A cave to me might mean one thing, and a cave to Kathy Miller, who shared that with us, might mean something else. Water might mean something different to you. I mean, there's sort of these universal meanings of water, meaning like emotions or memory, or going into the deep. But for you, water may mean something different. It may have another little quality to it. So if you're dreaming of water, what does that mean for you? So maybe keeping a dream journal handy, because there's also the moon in a trine to Neptune this weekend. And that gives us easy access to intuitive information, to prophecy, to, feeling or hearing or seeing into the future, perhaps. So really great combination of energies. But you got to clean up your own yard first, right? You can't really be able to take action on new energies coming in if you're still overly involved in the old, right? So, and by the old, I mean, really, we're still sort of getting gobsmacked by some of the victim energies that Chiron produced for us over the last several years in Pisces. And now we have Mercury in Pisces. We still have Neptune in Pisces. We have the Sun in Pisces, and we have Mercury retrograding in Pisces. So we're still dealing with some of this underlying victim energy that keeps us from freedom. Remember the Gate 55 this week about freedom. So use all of the things that you have at your fingertips this weekend to move through the deep, to move through the dark, and bring it into the light. Sunday is probably the nicest day of the three, where maybe we aren't so much triggered. If you do your work and you've done your deep dive, Sunday becomes an ease and flow, as Saturn and Pluto are in a sextile to the moon, and Neptune is in trine. So we have really positive, beneficial contacts being made that take us into our knowingness, right? Knowingness and our intuition, our gut instincts, etc. So for the most part, really interesting mix of energies for the weekend. Sunday being probably the easiest of the 3 days, if you count Friday as the weekend, which I do. And Friday and Saturday being a little bit more scritchy, perhaps, for some people. But, the energy is there to make progress. When we are challenged by planets doing things like conjunctions and squares, we're being challenged to move forward, right? To clear the air, and not to so much backslide as we are to let go of all of that gunk and, be able to move forward. And even if we're moving forward slowly right now, remember Mars and Taurus, the action has slowed down. It becomes more deliberate. It becomes more step forward, 2 steps forward, maybe 1 step backwards, but you're still net 1 step forward. So just keeping that in mind, that helps keep the frustration level down to a dull roar, perhaps. All right, let's see what other people are saying. Jacqueline, I got to go back a bit. Debbie says, Lynn Haven, I'll be in the crew of St. Andrew's Parade. Okay, that's personal stuff going on. Jacqueline, I had that problem with someone projecting certain things on me recently. I do not take it in. I do have friends. And I would encourage you to, try not to look at people as friend or foe, right? Just because someone isn't necessarily good for you, or that they're projecting on you doesn't mean that you have to classify them as the enemy or the foe. This is where we get into problems all the time, right? We claim us, them. We get into that duality, right? That polarizing energy. So I'll be it that I don't know that you have to hang around with those people that are not good for you. And that's not what I'm saying. If you begin to classify them as something other than just the beautiful souls they are, who are struggling just like you, then you begin to create an us versus them. And then we keep sustaining and building upon the foundation of duality and polarization that is already in our face right there in the world every day. So I'm just going to be encouraging everybody to just be able to see the love in everything and not the anger or the upset or the conflict or the confrontation. Try not to go there with it, even though it may be that these people are not good for you and they need to move on, or you need to move on away from them. Just don't create them as a foe or an enemy. All right, I'm going to pull some cards. I can't imagine how I got all of that out by 35 minutes into the broadcast. So let's do some cards for people. I'm going to do a general card for the weekend. I'm going to use the Spirit Animal deck by Colette Baron Reed. And because I don't work with these cards enough. I haven't yet worked with these cards enough. So I want to play with them a little more deeply. So I'm asking for a card, an animal that can help us mitigate the energies of the weekend, to navigate through the weekend peacefully, and that can create some good outcomes for us. And I get owl. Owl just flew away. I got Owl Spirit. You see clearly now. And it is, look at him. He's wearing a crown. Isn't he gorgeous, right? He's beautiful. Owl Spirit says, you see clearly now. And card number 43, so that's a 7. And so let's take a look at this. I'm not sure if we've pulled Owl before. I might have in my own personal thing, and that's why I'm resonating with it a bit. So the Owl energy says, Owl Spirit arrives to remind you that the wisdom within you is informed by your keen senses and the wisdom within the consciousness we all share. Even in the darkest night, the owl sees clearly and is guided by every sense it has, including the first sense of intuition. Right now, your sensitivities are turbocharged and you are receiving messages from all directions. I don't think we could have picked a better card here. Owl Spirit reminds you to be wise and pay attention to what's between the lines, what is invisible to the naked eye, what cannot be heard with the ears, and what others may not be able to perceive. The undercurrents, right? With all your senses aroused, you have much knowledge available to you. Clarity will come as you sit with all that you are sensing, allowing your intuition to guide you in understanding the whole and not just the parts. Let your wisdom arise and be your guide as you trust the acuity of all your senses. Intuition is real and can provide the clarity you need to understand your situation right now. Your relationship, your finances, your job, whatever it is, you can see the truth clearly now. Now, I'm going to read the protection message too, because I just feel like maybe there's some of you out there that are at the other side of this, and this is the protection message of Owl. Are you feeling overwhelmed and overpowered by all that you are sensing? Are you highly sensitive right now and in information overload, feeling too much and taking in too much stimulation? The antidote for overwhelm is to become grounded and return to your safe nest so wisdom can offer you clarity and guide you on managing the flow. Take a break to ground yourself in the reality of your everyday senses. Go for a walk in nature. Perhaps you can stop to lie on the ground or hug a tree or just stroll down the street beneath the soothing sky so that you can regroup and clear your energy field. Your wisdom and ability to make sense of all you are feeling and experiencing will return as Owl Spirit reminds you of your need to get clear. Yes! Perfect card. Thank you, Owl. Thank you, Universe. Thank you, God. Thank you, all the goddesses, everybody out there, for that message. So I think I'm also going to draw a Wisdom of the Oracle card for the weekend. That's this deck. Wisdom of the Oracle, Colette Baron Reed. And by the way, these decks are amazing. These two. And the Wisdom of Avalon. I've got 3 of her decks. I know, Debbie, you have, you like Colette Baron Reed's decks as well. There's just something magical about them. Something so true and easy to tap into. Like, she injected them with the best juju ever. Tom says, I'm a tree hugger and kisser even in town. I do it all the time. So zebra. And it says a change. The card says a change in the wind. Card number 12, which is a 3, but I pulled it upside down. A change in the wind. Makes me think we might be resisting something, perhaps. Let's just see. By the way, I'm willing to do card readings for people, a couple of them this morning. If you would like a card reading, let me know. Gate 12. Card 12, a change in the wind. The essential meaning of the card is a sense that unseen change has been initiated. Preparation for a storm, awareness that your plans are not on firm ground, feeling a shift, uncertainty about which direction the winds will blow. And in protection, it says, there are conditions brewing in your life you have no control over. Don't fight them. Change is inevitable and is for the best, for the higher good. Even if this storm blows away the structures you think you've built your dreams on, all will turn out as it should. You will have a renewed clarity and strength to do something even better. Spirit is your ally. Love it. All right, Miss Vicky, I would love to do a card reading for you. Which deck would you like? The animals, the Wisdom of the Oracle, or I can do the Wisdom of Avalon. Those are the 3 decks I pulled out this morning. So Rebecca, let me know. Debbie also not Rebecca, I'm sorry. Well, Rebecca wants a card reading too. So you guys need to tell me what deck you would like to be pulled from. And Kristen, look at all of you pop up. Love it. So Vicky, your turn first. Tell me. So I'm going to quick write down these people's names because otherwise I forget. So I have Vicky, then Debbie, TT, and Rebecca. And there was someone else, Kristen and Linda. Linda, did you hear about the 7.5 earthquake this morning in Ecuador? I don't know if it was this morning or last night, but isn't that where Larry is living? Ecuador. And I don't know much about it, but 7.5 is pretty big. Okay, so Vicky says, I choose. All right, Vicky, I am choosing the Wisdom of Avalon for you. There's just not enough room on my desk to have a bunch of open cards. Got to play shuffle. So this is for Vicky. Vicky, the Wisdom of Avalon is bringing you trust. Trust. So in the Wisdom of Avalon deck, she has, cards that are like fairies and things like that, water fairy or, different animals. But she also has these signposts. These were the cards I love the most. And the signpost for you is about trust. And it's card number 47, which is an 11. So we have a master number of illumination. And let's see what trust is all about. Do you have issues with faith? Do you have expectations of betrayal? Do you trust the mystery? Do you insist on mapping each tiny detail of your life, believing yourself to be the center of the universe? This marker reminds you that trust is required to move forward on your path. Belief and trust in a higher power is about having faith that the outcome will be what it should be, no matter what it is. It is timely for you to place your trust in the divine, in your angels, and in the knowledge that there is a divine plan for all. This marker also asks you to remember that humankind is imperfect, and even if you place your trust in another, there is potential for this trust to be broken. This means that you need to be discerning and not trust blindly. Be mindful of who and what you place your trust in. Is this person, thing, or situation worthy? In a relationship between you and the mystery, you and the god or goddess, and you and the divine living planet, there is a sacred relationship where trust is never broken. Only you can break it by forgetting who you are, a spirit in temporary human form. Remember who you are. Wonderful card for you. Okay. So let's see who was else. So Vicky, any comments about that? Let me know. So Vicky, check. Debbie Tibbetts. Did you specify a deck, Miss Debbie? She says me, but I don't see a card deck. So I'm going to use the Wisdom of Avalon since it seems to be in my hand. And for you, Debbie, it is the Wisdom of Avalon, which I don't know if you have this deck or not. So maybe this will be fun for you. This is one of Colette Baron Reed's older decks. I had this deck in 2006, 2007, when I had a metaphysical bookstore, because the box is marked demo. You can't really see it. The writing's worn off. But this was a demo deck that I would use in the store for people. So this is for Debbie, and it is joy, another signpost along the way. And I love the signpost. Like I said, it is card number 37, which is a 10, which is a 1 that speaks to new beginnings, kind of the higher order new beginning, right? So what's beginning anew? And it begins with joy. What can we say about that? So this marks a time for celebration, for this portends the joyous completion of a project, the attainment of a goal, or the end of a long and arduous journey. When you're thirsty, this marker promises that you'll find a well. When you're cold, a blanket. When you're hungry, nourishment. Joy also has another aspect, for not only does it celebrate receiving blessings from the fruits of actual labor, but it's also about the sharing of it. Joy celebrates itself. Its very essence radiates beauty and well-being. Like the spring sun breaking through after a long and gloomy winter, joy reminds us to be grateful for all the gifts of life. Joy bestows the blessings of happiness. You truly have reason to smile when this marker appears on your path. Love it. Perfect for Mardi Gras. Absolutely. That was the first thought I had, Debbie. Perfect for a week of long celebrations, or a long week of celebrations. Joy. Love it. So Debbie's done. Rebecca, the Wisdom of Avalon, please. Good. Tom, I'm going to put your name down here too. Okay, so this is for Rebecca from the Wisdom of Avalon. Awesome. Vicky says that was a message I needed to hear. I sometimes trust too easy and get hurt, but I'm also on a new path in my life and not sure where I belong, and trusting my intuition and instincts. Beautiful, right? Don't trust what other people want for you or tell you. Trust spirit and trust your own intuition. You are more powerful than you think. And movement. This is for Rebecca. And movement is card number 36, which is 9. So movement. So the ending of something, perhaps the revelation of something, and movement where there had not been movement previous. So 36. This marker reminds you that all things change as part of the cycle of life. This may portend a physical move, or it heralds a release from restriction and waiting. Hallelujah. Rejoice, for changes in the air and new things are about to enter your world. This puts you on notice that it's time to broaden your horizons as you move forward on your path. You may travel to new and foreign places, both physically and inwardly. It is fortunate and timely to do so. Nothing is ever meant to be static in the ways of the living mystery. Movement brings challenges that must not be resisted, for progress can only be made by letting go of what was and welcoming what is and what is yet to come. This marker is always an omen of a change for the better. Gotta love that one. Gotta love that one, Rebecca. Maybe you could share with us where things have been stuck, or if that is even true for you, and what that might mean for you going forward. Kristen, next. I choose. Okay, I'm going to choose the Wisdom of Avalon because it seems to be doing really well for us today. So this is for Kristen. And Kristen needs the letting go card number 44, which is an 8. It's a double master, or it's a master number, so 8. I have a friend that believes, she's actually a numerologist, who says that the number 8 is the God number. So this is a message of letting go. double fours. So let's see what that means. 44. Boy, we're getting lots of signposts today. That's messages, like directly from spirit to each of you. 44 says releasing attachments, expectations, and desires yet unfulfilled. These are some of the aspects of this card. When you receive this marker on your path, you're required to relinquish control and allow the mystery to act as she will, to weave life together as it is meant to be, according to the law of the cosmos. You cannot force something to come or to remain if its true place is elsewhere. Remember that what is yours can never be taken away. Allowing is the key to this marker, for what is yours will come to you. The same applies to the past. This is the time to let go of old hurts, resentments, and unresolved anger, for they're no longer welcome burdens on the path ahead. Old and outmoded ideas about life, how you see others, who you are, based on who you were, these must also be left behind. Then you can move forward unencumbered, stepping into the magic of the new present that leads into the best possible future. I think that's a pretty good card too. So that's for you, Kristen. Linda, you're next. Linda. And Linda, I think she said Avalon too. Wisdom of Avalon. You hadn't heard of the earthquake. Well, this morning, my husband had the news on for some reason. I think he was waiting to see because we heard the snow word for the weekend. So he was, tuning into the weather, but there was breaking news about a 7.5 earthquake in Ecuador. And I want to say they said Eastern Ecuador. So I don't know where that is, but here's your card, Linda. It is the Earth Fairy. Isn't she beautiful? Right. And underneath her, it says physical health, grounding, and foundations. She is card 27, which is a 9. She is this gorgeous creature. Love the wings. So let's take a look at her, number 27. You're the first one to get a fairy today. That is so appropriate for Linda, you guys. The Earth Fairy says to pay attention to your health and all things pertaining to your physical body. Perhaps you need exercise or to pay special attention to your diet. Are you getting enough sleep? The Earth Fairy reminds you to indulge your senses. It's good to revel in the sensations of your body. The sensual world is an important part of the path to Avalon and must be honored. When the Earth Fairy appears, she reminds you to get into your body and out of your head. Don't spend so much time analyzing things over and over. Get your hands into some dirt. Gardening, perhaps? Walk barefoot in the grass and remember that your physical self is the house of your spirit as the Mother Earth houses you. Get grounded. Remember that you're part of the living earth. Stay connected. Another message from the Earth Fairy is to make sure the foundations of all you do are solid. Be aware that projects, relationships, business ideas, and families all need to be built on sturdy, steady foundations. The Earth Fairy always helps you when you ask. Great card. Great card. Let's see. Kristen says spot on. Thank you. And Rebecca says, thank you. Been feeling stuck the last 6 months and trying to relocate now. This was a very bright sign. That's awesome. I love it when the cards speak that way. So Linda, Tom, you are next. Tom, you didn't say what deck. Do you also want to go with the Avalon? I'm just going to do Avalon. This is for Tom, the Wisdom of Avalon, and see what his message is from this wonderful deck. The deer. Oh, you got 2, Tom. They stuck together. You have the deer over here, which is about gentleness and diplomacy. And you have forgiveness over here, which is a signpost. So I'm going to read the deer first. Deer, which is card number 22, Master Builder. That's like, we've had 2 master numbers. So 3 master numbers, really. Didn't we have an 11? 22. So the deer. When the deer appears, it's a reminder for you to step gently on the path, for you're walking into a time when gentle movements and diplomacy are required. The deer's strength is in this quality. Make it your own and know that your steps are successfully assured. It's important that you be gentle with yourself as well, for you may be heading into a period when you're unsure of your footing or just coming out of a difficult situation. Blend your personal energy with the deer's energy of gentleness and diplomacy. Walk softly, and the way forward will be smooth. And remember, never mistake gentleness for weakness in yourself or in others. And then 49 is about forgiveness. Drawing this marker says that you must now search your heart for any unresolved resentment, anger, or disagreements between you and another. If you're still hurt or angry about another's behavior, or if there are circumstances in your life that you resent, this is a time when it's crucial to release the negative energy surrounding those situations. Resisting this will only impede your growth and draw more unwanted experiences to you. Resentment and anger are emotions that actually bind you and hook you to the events that cause your suffering, keeping them alive inside of you, draining you of your life force and inner light. Nothing good comes from hate, anger, or resentment. Peace can only come through forgiveness, when you release all that binds you to negativity. Perhaps you need to forgive yourself for placing unrealistic expectations on your situation, resulting in a self-sabotaging perception tainted by perfectionism. Look at the world and see how the lack of forgiveness feeds the turmoil and suffering around you. Forgiveness is the key to freedom and peace, and it starts with you. This marker requires you to practice forgiveness so that you can be an active part of spreading peace and beauty throughout this troubled world. Wow. It's almost like you have a mission, right? And your mission is to gently go forward in forgiveness. And your mission, should you choose to accept it, Tom, will bring you peace. Love it. Okay. I believe I have hit everybody that wanted a reading. So I am done with that today. And you guys are all welcome. I love doing card readings like this. It's so much fun. It's so much fun because it's immediate, right? And it just comes. When I do astrology, it's more contemplative, right? I have to look and I have to measure. I have to size up. I have to, put all these other ingredients together. It's like making a quiche or something. But cards are just clear and straightforward. I love that kind of energy as well. So I hope every one of you has a wonderful weekend. Remember some of the key things we talked about. Be at peace. Reach into your intuition and pull out of the morphogenetic field or out of the force, the cosmic, consciousness, the things that are meant for you, and move forward with them. A couple of reminders: next week, Wednesday, the 27th at 4:15 p.m., because I forgot I'm on a radio show just before that, will be the webinar for the month of March. We're going to dive into all of the things that make March important. And I'm making a list as I go, because every time I think I've got enough, there's more. And so I am in the process of putting all that together and weaving it for you guys. You can still purchase the webinar. The link is on my Living Astrology webpage. It is also on my website under webinars and readings. And it is also going to be in the blog post that comes out for the weekend. What else? Next week. I think that's it for now. If I think of something else, I'll check in with everybody later. In the meantime, take care. Mwah. Much love to all of you. See you on Monday morning. Bye for now.